The relationship between men and women has always been complex, emotional, and deeply influenced by human nature. When we look at this topic through the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, we do not see advice about romance in a modern reminder style. Instead, we see deep truths about behavior, desire, ego, attachment, and self-control. Marcus Aurelius never wrote directly about dating or gender politics, but his understanding of the human mind helps us clearly see the hidden dynamics between men and women. At the center of Stoic philosophy is one powerful idea. People act according to their nature, their conditioning, and their desires, not according to logic or fairness. This applies equally to men and women. Conflict begins when we expect the opposite sex to behave according to our expectations instead of their nature. Marcus Aurelius reminds us again and again that frustration comes from false expectations. When a man expects a woman to think like a man, or when a woman expects a man to feel and react like a woman, disappointment is guaranteed. Stoicism teaches observation before judgment. Instead of blaming, we must understand. Men and women are driven by different instincts shaped by biology, society, and survival. Men are generally driven by purpose, respect, competence, and status. Women are generally driven by emotional security, trust, connection, and safety. These differences do not make one superior to the other. They simply mean that each side values different things. Marcus Aurelius would say, "Do not argue with reality, accept it, then act wisely." One hidden dynamic is that men often express love through action, while women often express love through emotion and communication. A man may believe he is showing love by working hard, providing, fixing problems, and staying strong. A woman may believe love is shown by talking, sharing feelings, and emotional presence. When each side measures love using their own scale, both feel unappreciated. Stoicism teaches us to remove ego from interpretation. If someone loves differently than you do, it does not mean they love less. Another hidden dynamic is attention. Men often give attention to feel desired, while women often receive attention to feel valued. Attention is a form of currency in human relationships. Men compete for it, women filter it. This imbalance can create confusion and power struggles. Marcus Aurelius would advise detachment here. He believed that needing validation from others gives them power over your peace. When a man depends on attention from a woman to feel worthy, he becomes reactive. When a woman depends on constant reassurance to feel secure, she becomes anxious. Stoicism teaches inner stability before external connection. One of the most misunderstood dynamics is emotional expression. Women are often more comfortable expressing emotions openly, while men are taught to suppress them. This does not mean men feel less. It means they process differently. Marcus Aurelius himself was deeply emotional, yet he practiced restraint, not suppression. He believed emotions should be understood, not allowed to control behavior. Problems arise when men feel overwhelmed by emotional intensity or when women feel emotionally ignored. The Stoic solution is balance, expression without chaos, strength without coldness. Another key dynamic is conflict. Men often want to solve problems quickly. Women often want to feel heard before solutions are offered. When a woman shares a problem, she may not be asking for an answer. She may be asking for understanding. When a man jumps straight to fixing, he believes he is helping. She may feel dismissed. Marcus Aurelius teaches patience. He says we should listen fully before reacting, because reaction is often ego, not wisdom. Understanding does not mean agreement, it means respect. There is also the dynamic of control versus freedom. Men often fear loss of independence. Women often fear loss of connection. This creates tension. A man may pull away to feel free. A woman may move closer to feel secure. Both actions are driven by fear, not love. Stoicism teaches mastery of fear. Marcus Aurelius would say that if you are controlled by fear of loss, you are not free. True strength is being present without attachment and connected without dependency. Another hidden truth is idealization. Men often idealize women at the beginning, projecting fantasies onto them. Women often idealize men's potential rather than their current reality. Over time, reality replaces fantasy, and disappointment appears. Stoicism teaches us to see people as they are, not as we wish them to be. Marcus Aurelius warns against illusion. He reminds us that people do not exist to fulfill our desires. Expecting someone to become what they are not is a silent form of resentment. Power dynamics also play a role. The person who needs less often has more power. This is not cruelty, it is psychology. Stoicism does not encourage manipulation, but it teaches self-sufficiency. When you are complete on your own, relationships become choice, not need. Men often lose themselves trying to please. Women often lose themselves trying to hold on. Marcus Aurelius would advise both to return to self-respect. Without self-respect, love becomes bargaining. Another deep dynamic is communication style. Men tend to communicate directly and literally. Women often communicate emotionally and contextually. A man may hear words. A woman may feel tone, timing, and energy. This difference causes misunderstandings, not malice. Stoicism teaches clarity. Say what you mean and mean what you say, but also understand how your words land on others. There is also the issue of expectation of mind reading. Women may expect men to sense emotional shifts. Men may expect women to clearly state needs. When expectations are unmet, resentment grows. Marcus Aurelius teaches responsibility. Expecting others to read your mind is abandoning responsibility for your own needs. At the core of all these dynamics is ego. Ego wants to be right. Ego wants control. Ego wants validation. Stoicism teaches humility. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that most conflicts are not about truth, but about pride. When men and women stop trying to win and start trying to understand, relationships change. When you stop seeing the opposite sex as an opponent and start seeing them as human, peace increases. Marcus Aurelius believed that harmony comes not from sameness, but from understanding differences without resentment. Men and women are not meant to mirror each other. They are meant to complement, challenge, and balance. This understanding requires maturity. Immature men seek to dominate or impress. Immature women seek to control or test. Mature individuals seek alignment, respect, and growth. Stoicism does not promise perfect relationships. It promises clarity, resilience, and peace within yourself. And when you are at peace within, your relationships naturally become healthier. This is only the beginning. To fully understand these hidden dynamics, we must go deeper into desire, attachment, emotional responsibility, and self-mastery, the true foundations of Stoic wisdom. To understand the hidden dynamics between men and women more deeply, we must now look at desire, attachment, and emotional responsibility through the calm and disciplined lens of Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism does not judge desire as good or bad. It simply asks one question. Does this desire control you, or do you control it? One of the strongest forces shaping relationships is attachment. Men and women attach differently. Men often attach through purpose and usefulness. When a man feels needed, respected, or admired, his attachment grows. Women often attach through emotional safety and consistency. When a woman feels understood and emotionally secure, her attachment deepens. Problems arise when attachment turns into fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. Marcus Aurelius teaches that fear is born from placing your peace in something you cannot control. You cannot control another person's feelings, actions, or choices. The moment your happiness depends on those things, suffering begins. Another hidden dynamic is emotional responsibility. Many people believe their partner is responsible for their happiness. This belief silently destroys relationships. When one person feels sad, angry, or insecure, they expect the other to fix it. Stoicism strongly rejects this idea. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that your mind is your responsibility. This does not mean ignoring your partner's emotions. It means not blaming them for your inner state. When a woman feels anxious, or a man feels disrespected, the emotion is real. But the reaction to that emotion must be guided by self-awareness, not accusation. Men often react to emotional pressure by withdrawing. Women often react to emotional distance by pushing closer. This creates a cycle. The more she pushes, the more he pulls away. The more he pulls away, the more she pushes. Marcus Aurelius would call this a failure of self-mastery, not a failure of love. Stoicism teaches pause. Before reacting, observe your emotion. Ask yourself, is this reaction improving the situation or feeding my ego? Most conflicts dissolve when one person chooses calm over reaction. Another dynamic is validation. Men often seek validation through achievement and respect. Women often seek validation through emotional connection and reassurance. Neither is wrong. The problem begins when validation becomes addiction. Marcus Aurelius warned against chasing praise. He believed that external validation weakens inner strength. When a man needs constant admiration, he becomes fragile. When a woman needs constant reassurance, she becomes anxious. Stoicism teaches self-validation first. When you know your worth, you stop demanding proof from others. There is also the hidden dynamic of testing. Women may test men emotionally to see if they are stable, reliable, and strong. Men may test women indirectly to see if they are loyal, supportive, or respectful. These tests are often unconscious, but when handled poorly, they create resentment. Marcus Aurelius would say that character is revealed under pressure. Tests are not meant to hurt. They are meant to reveal truth. The wise response is not anger or defensiveness, but steadiness. Emotional stability is attractive because it signals safety. Another important dynamic is silence versus expression. Men often go silent when overwhelmed. Women often express more when overwhelmed. Each side misinterprets the other. A woman may see silence as emotional punishment. A man may see expression as emotional attack. Stoicism teaches interpretation. Just because something feels personal does not mean it is. Marcus Aurelius urges us to separate events from judgments. Silence is not always rejection. Expression is not always chaos. Power struggles are another hidden issue. When one person feels they are losing influence, they may try to regain control through guilt, withdrawal, or emotional pressure. This is not love, it is insecurity. Marcus Aurelius teaches that true power is self-control. The moment you try to control another person, you reveal a lack of control over yourself. Healthy relationships are built on choice, not coercion. Another deep dynamic is sexual energy. Men often experience desire as physical urgency. Women often experience desire as emotional and contextual. This difference can create misunderstanding. A man may feel rejected when desire is not immediately returned. A woman may feel pressured when desire is expected without emotional safety. Stoicism teaches respect for timing and boundaries. Desire without discipline leads to regret. Desire guided by patience leads to trust. There is also the dynamic of change over time. Men and women evolve. What attracted you at the beginning may not be what sustains you later. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that change is natural. Resisting change creates suffering. Many relationships fail because people cling to old versions of each other. Stoicism teaches acceptance of growth. Love is not about freezing someone in time. It is about walking with them as they evolve. Another hidden truth is unspoken expectations. Men may expect loyalty without clearly expressing boundaries. Women may expect emotional availability without clearly stating needs. When expectations remain unspoken, disappointment feels like betrayal. Marcus Aurelius teaches clarity and responsibility. If something matters to you, say it calmly and clearly. Expecting others to guess is unfair. We must also discuss resentment. Resentment builds when emotions are swallowed instead of processed. Men often suppress resentment until it turns into distance. Women often express resentment through repeated emotional reminders. Both approaches damage connection. Stoicism teaches release. Marcus Aurelius believed holding on to resentment is like holding a burning coal and expecting the other person to feel the pain. Letting go is strength, not weakness. At the core of all these dynamics is self-mastery. Without it, love becomes chaos. With it, love becomes stable and deep. Stoicism does not remove emotion from relationships, it refines it. When both men and women take responsibility for their emotions, communicate with clarity, and detach from ego-driven reactions, relationships transform. They become calmer, stronger, and more honest. But one final layer remains, the deepest layer. It is about identity, purpose, and inner discipline. This is where Marcus Aurelius's wisdom becomes truly transformative. At the deepest level of the hidden dynamics between men and women lies something far more important than attraction, emotion, or conflict. It is identity. Marcus Aurelius believed that most human suffering comes from not knowing who we are and allowing external things to define us. Relationships often become unstable when people use love to fill an inner void instead of sharing fullness. Men often lose direction when their identity becomes dependent on approval, desire, or control within a relationship. Women often lose stability when their identity becomes dependent on emotional security provided by another person. In both cases, love becomes fragile because it is built on need instead of strength. Stoicism teaches that a strong individual creates a strong relationship. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that no one can take away his character, discipline, or values unless he allows it. This applies directly to relationships. When you know who you are, rejection does not destroy you. Disagreement does not threaten you. Distance does not control you. Another hidden dynamic is purpose versus attachment. Men often feel most alive when they are pursuing a mission, building something meaningful, or improving themselves. When a man abandons his purpose to please a relationship, resentment quietly grows. Women often feel most alive when there is emotional harmony and shared meaning. When a woman feels emotionally disconnected, anxiety grows. Marcus Aurelius would not ask either to abandon their nature. He would ask both to balance it with discipline. Purpose without connection becomes cold. Connection without purpose becomes unstable. Harmony is found when both are respected. There is also the dynamic of emotional leadership. This does not mean dominance or control. Emotional leadership means staying grounded when emotions rise. In many relationships, chaos begins because both people react emotionally at the same time. Stoicism teaches that peace often comes when one person chooses calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the wise person is not the one who feels less, but the one who is not ruled by feelings. When a man remains calm instead of defensive, tension reduces. When a woman remains clear instead of reactive, understanding grows. Emotional maturity invites emotional safety. Another deep truth is respect. Men often feel loved through respect. Women often feel loved through care and presence. When a man feels disrespected, he emotionally shuts down. When a woman feels uncared for, she emotionally disconnects. Neither reaction is intentional, both are protective responses. Stoicism teaches us to protect our character, not our ego. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that respect begins with self-respect. If you tolerate what violates your values, you teach others how to treat you. Healthy boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for mutual respect. We must also look at discipline in desire. Desire is powerful, but uncontrolled desire creates suffering. Men may chase pleasure and lose depth. Women may chase emotional intensity and lose stability. Marcus Aurelius believed that pleasure should be enjoyed without dependence. When desire controls your choices, you become impulsive. When discipline guides desire, you become trustworthy. Trust is the foundation of long-term connection. Another hidden dynamic is reaction to pain. Men often respond to emotional pain by becoming distant or cold. Women often respond by becoming expressive or emotional. Both are attempts to regain control. Marcus Aurelius teaches that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Instead of reacting, he advises reflection. Ask, what is this pain teaching me? Growth begins when pain is processed, not projected. There is also the dynamic of forgiveness. Holding grudges poisons relationships. Marcus Aurelius believed forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It is about freeing your own mind. When you carry past mistakes into the present, you distort reality. Forgiveness does not mean tolerating repeated harm. Stoicism is not weakness. It is clarity. Forgive internally but act wisely. Another important layer is presence. Many relationships fail not because of lack of love, but lack of presence. Men may be physically present but mentally distracted. Women may be emotionally invested but mentally anxious. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the present moment is all we ever truly have. Presence creates connection. Attention creates intimacy. When people feel truly seen, many conflicts disappear without words. Finally, there is the ultimate Stoic principle, impermanence. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that everything changes. People change, feelings change, circumstances change. Clinging to permanence creates fear. When men and women accept impermanence, love becomes lighter and healthier. You stop trying to own people. You stop trying to control outcomes. You start appreciating connection while it exists. The hidden dynamics between men and women are not meant to divide. They are meant to teach. Every misunderstanding reveals a difference in perception. Every conflict reveals an opportunity for self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius did not teach how to win in relationships. He taught how to remain honorable, calm, and grounded regardless of outcome. When you approach relationships with this mindset, you stop chasing validation and start offering value. The deepest attraction is not beauty, status, or emotion. It is inner stability. A person who is at peace with themselves becomes a safe place for others. When men lead with purpose and discipline, and women lead with clarity and emotional wisdom, relationships stop being battles and start becoming partnerships. This is the true Stoic understanding of the hidden dynamics between men and women. Everything you seek in others, peace, validation, security, must first be built within. Marcus Aurelius lived with this truth every day, and that is why his words still guide us centuries later. When men and women understand themselves, relationships stop being confusing and start becoming meaningful. If this message resonated with you, like this video so it can reach others searching for answers. Share it with someone who values depth over drama, and subscribe to the channel if you want more Stoic wisdom, psychology, and real-life lessons that actually make you stronger. Stay calm, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward.